The night sky above planet Zareth was not black. It burned red. Smoke from the fires had covered the stars, and the ground shook every few minutes from distant blasts. Far away, ships were falling from the sky like broken birds. The war had reached its worst day yet. Deep in the forest that was no longer green, a young alien girl stumbled forward. Her name was Lyra. Her skin shimmered like deep ocean water, and her eyes were bright silver, but now they were filled with pain. Dirt covered her face, her clothes were torn, and her left arm hung useless by her side. Lyra had fought bravely. Her tribe had told her to run, but she stayed. For hours she fought the machines, alone giant warbots that came from the sky. Now she was the last one standing. Her blade was broken, her breath was short, and she knew they were coming. She leaned against a dead tree, gasping. Every sound in the silence made her flinch. A dry wind passed. Leaves burned nearby. She could hear the metal clicks in the distance, the sound of machines searching. Hunting dot she gripped. What was left of her blade? Her hand trembled. "I'm not afraid," she whispered, even though her legs were shaking. Just then, a branch cracked behind her. She turned fast, ready to strike, but her broken blade was too slow. A figure stepped out of the smoke, but it wasn't a machine. It wasn't one of her people either. It was a human. He looked rough. His uniform was torn, blood on his forehead, a burn across one arm. But he stood tall, strong. His name was John. He had been watching the fight from the ridge above. And now, he had come down. Lyra raised her blade. Weakly. John held up his hands. "Hey, I'm not your enemy." Lyra narrowed her eyes. She had heard stories. Humans were strong, dangerous, but also strange, unpredictable. "Why are you here?" she asked. John looked around, heard the clicking getting closer. "I saw your fight," he said softly. "You fought well." Lyra didn't reply. "But you're not alone now," John added. Those words hit something in her chest. She wanted to believe them, but could she? Suddenly, the clicking sound grew louder. 3 warbots stepped into the clearing, their red eyes glowing. John didn't wait. He pulled out a strange weapon, something not from her world. A plasma launcher, worn but still deadly. He stepped in front of Lyra. "Get behind me," he said. Lyra hesitated, then obeyed. As the machines raised their arms to fire, John moved. Fast, too fast for a tired man. He ducked, rolled, and fired. The first bot exploded into sparks. The second aimed at him, but Lyra, with the last of her strength, threw her broken blade like a spear, jamming its joint. John blasted the second bot apart. The third rushed them. John ran out of shots. And then just when it seemed over, Lyra screamed. A scream filled with anger, loss, and pain. Her silver eyes burned bright. Her body glowed. Something inside her awoke. A power older than the machines. She ran forward, grabbed a metal shard from the ground, and stabbed the third bot right through its chest core. It fell. Silence returned. Both of them stood there, panting. John smiled a little. "You still had fight left." Lyra looked at him. "You too." For the first time in hours, she didn't feel alone. But above them, more machines were coming. And this time, it wouldn't be 3. It would be 30. And far away, someone was watching both of them from the trees. Someone. Not human. Not machine. Something worse. The forest didn't rest. Even when the fire slowed, even when the smoke thinned for a moment, there was no peace. The sound of machines echoed like a heartbeat in the trees, slow, steady, growing louder. The wind didn't blow. Even the air felt afraid. John stood beside Lyra, his eyes scanning the ridge. They had just survived 3 warbots, but he knew that was nothing compared to what was coming. He had seen the formation earlier from the hill, a full pack of 30 bots, moving in lines, cold and perfect, designed to erase anything in their path. He reached into his side pouch and checked his power cell. Empty. The plasma launcher in his hand was now just dead weight. Beside him, Lyra leaned against a tree, breathing hard. The glow in her eyes had faded, but the echo of her power still seemed to dance on her skin. "You okay?" John asked. Lyra nodded once, though her body swayed. "I'll stand." John looked at her, not with pity, but with something closer to quiet respect. She wasn't trained. She wasn't armored. She was just a stubborn, brave, and in a world full of fire and machines. That was rare. "We can't stay here," John said. "They'll track us. Where will we go?" He hesitated. "There's a tunnel," he finally said. "An old transport shaft near the cliffs. If we get inside before they surround us, we might have a chance." Lyra didn't ask why a human soldier knew about alien tunnels. She was too tired. Too smart. And right now, she needed a plan more than she needed answers. They moved fast, or as fast as broken warriors could move. Every step was a choice. Every fallen log a danger. The machines had laid traps before heat mines, sonic spikes, hunter drones. John walked ahead, clearing the path, eyes sharp. Lyra followed, clutching her side. They didn't speak much, words took energy, but the silence between them wasn't empty. It was growing into something. Trust. And just as they reached the edge of a burned clearing, Lyra stopped. "Wait," she said. John turned. She crouched low and touched the ground. Then she pointed. Barely visible in the dirt was a symbol. A curve with two lines. "What is it?" John asked. "It's not from my people," Lyra whispered. John crouched too. The symbol looked carved recently. The earth around it was colder than the rest of the ground. "Someone else passed here," she added. "Something old." Suddenly, a noise broke the air, a deep hum, like metal vibrating from inside the trees. John pulled her down. "Incoming." They rolled behind a rock as a shadow flew overhead, huge, round, and silent. Not a machine. Not a ship. Something in dash between. It moved like liquid. It had no wings. And yet, it hovered, scanning, searching. "That's not from the bots," John said. Lyra's hands trembled. "I've only heard stories from elders about watchers." "What kind of watchers?" "The ones who don't fight. They feed on the end of battles. They wait. Until no one is left." John's breath caught in his throat. He wasn't sure if he believed in alien myths, but then again, today he had already seen too many impossible things. The shadow passed, but it didn't leave. It stayed above the trees, as if it knew they were there, but didn't want to chase. "Why didn't it strike?" Lyra asked. John didn't answer, because he didn't know. But one thing was clear, it wasn't just the warbots anymore. Something older had woken. And they were inside its hunting ground now. Finally, after another half hour, they found the cliff. It stood tall, like a cracked wall of ashen stone. Just at the base, hidden behind vines and roots, was a round entrance barely wide enough for one person. John pulled the vines aside. "This is it." Lyra stared into the tunnel. It went down, deep and dark. The kind of dark that eats sound. "This doesn't feel safe." "Nothing up here is safer," he said quietly. Before stepping in, Lyra glanced back toward the sky. She froze. A single red eye glowed through the branches far behind them. Not a warbot, not a drone. Just one eye. Watching. No body. No face. Just that eye. "Go," John said firmly, grabbing her hand and pulling her inside. The tunnel swallowed them, and behind them, the eye blinked. Not once, but twice. As if it had seen this all before. As if it was waiting for them to reach the end. Deep inside the tunnel, the sound of the surface vanished. The world above faded into silence. John's torch flickered weakly, casting pale light on the stone walls. "What now?" Lyra asked. John looked ahead. And what he saw stopped his heart. Scratched into the stone wall, In human language were 3 words: we are trapped. The silence inside the tunnel wasn't natural. It was too quiet, too complete. Every breath, every step, every heartbeat echoed in ways that didn't make sense. Sometimes the walls answered back, not as an echo, but like something was whispering. The same words just a second later, deeper in the dark. John kept his light low. Lyra stayed close behind him, her eyes adjusting slowly to the half-light. The air felt colder here. Not just like night cold, but old cold. Like the kind that sinks into your bones and makes you forget what warmth felt like. Who wrote that on the wall? Lyra finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. John didn't answer right away. He looked at the words again. We are trapped. The writing was clear, not rushed. Someone had taken their time to carve it, but it looked wrong, too clean, too recent. Like it had waited for someone to find it. Someone who came here before, he said softly. Maybe another soldier. Maybe someone trying to escape like us. They kept moving. The tunnel bent left, then sloped downward. The walls became tighter. Roots from the surface had pushed through the cracks, some dry, some still wet with sap. But the deeper they went, the stranger things got. They started seeing symbols, carved into the walls, glowing faintly with soft blue light, not human, not alien. Something else. Lyra touched one. It pulsed under her fingers, and for a moment, her silver eyes widened. I felt something, she whispered. What? A voice. John turned. What did it say? Lyra paused. I don't know. It wasn't words. It was like a memory, but not mine. They moved faster after that. And that's when the sounds began. Not loud, not close. Just far off whispers. At first, John thought they were echoes, tricks of the cave. But then he heard something that made him stop cold. His name. John. Soft. Behind him, he turned. Light shaking. No one there. Lyra looked at him. What is it? I heard my name. She stepped back, her skin glowing slightly again. I think this place is alive. John wanted to argue, but deep down, he already felt it too. This tunnel wasn't just rock and dirt. It was watching them, judging them. And maybe it was remembering them. We shouldn't stay long, Lyra said. They picked up pace. After some time, they reached a wide chamber. The air inside was thick, heavy, like every breath had weight. The walls were covered with glowing marks now. Thousands of them, dancing like fireflies, forming shapes that changed when you weren't looking directly at them. In the center of the room was a circle of stone. John stepped forward. And the circle lit up. Not just light but sound. Voices rose from the ground. Human voices. Alien voices. Crying, screaming, whispering secrets. And then one voice became clear. John froze because it was his mother's voice. But that was impossible. She had died 5 years ago. Back on Earth, before the war. John, her voice said, soft and full of love. Come home. He stepped forward, eyes wide. John, wait. Lyra grabbed his arm. But the moment her hand touched him, everything inside the chamber changed. Lights went out. The voices stopped. Darkness rushed in like a wave. And then, they were somewhere else. A room with no walls. Just floating darkness. And standing across from them. Was another John. But not real. Copy. His face, his eyes, but empty, lifeless. Is what waits, the copy said in a hollow voice. For those who run, Lyra gasped. Beside her stood a version of herself, her own face. Burned, broken, crying. What is this? She whispered. The fake John stepped forward. You think you're different. You think humans and aliens can fight together, but every bond breaks, every promise dies. John stared at the fake. You're not me. Not yet, it replied. Lyra raised her hand. You're lying. Am I? The fake Lyra said. Then tell me, where is your tribe? Your family? Your future? John reached for his weapon, forgetting it was empty. Lyra stepped forward. Instead, her eyes glowed again. But this time, they didn't flicker, they burned. You're not real, she said. And I won't let your lies live in my head. The light from her eyes filled the space. The copies screamed, and the chamber exploded in white light. John and Lyra fell hard back into the real tunnel. The circle was gone. The marks on the walls were gone. And the only thing left was silence. They lay there for a while, breathing. And then John laughed, just once. That was new, he said. Lyra smiled weakly. Welcome to my world. But then behind them came a slow, dragging sound, metal on stone. They turned together. And from the shadows stepped a war bot. But not just any bot. This one was marked with both human and alien parts. As if someone had built it. Of their past. And in its hand, it held something glowing red, John's lost weapon, but upgraded. Waiting. Offering. John stared at the warbot standing in the tunnel. It didn't move like a machine. It moved like a creature with thought. Its legs creaked like old metal, but its glowing red eyes held something deeper, something aware. This wasn't the same type they had fought above the forest. This one had pieces from different machines, and even parts that looked human. Its chest was marked with symbols, some Lyra recognized from her people's history. Some John had seen in old military labs. But what froze them both wasn't the body. It was the weapon in its hand. John single quotes, old plasma launcher. The same one that had run out of power earlier. But now, it was glowing. Pulsing. Alive. Is that mine? John whispered. Lyra didn't answer. She stepped forward carefully, placing her hand near the wall. It shouldn't be working. Not down here. Not after what we saw. The bot didn't attack. Instead, it lifted the launcher and dropped it on the ground. Softly. Then it stepped back. As if waiting. John looked at Lyra. Is it ... giving it back? Maybe it's not the enemy, Lyra said. John stepped toward the launcher. His heart was pounding. The tunnel was too quiet again. The air around the weapon felt charged. Like electricity. Like memory. He knelt and picked it up. The moment his fingers touched it, his mind flooded with images. Not his memories, but someone else's. Soldiers screaming. A girl hiding in the trees. A machine watching from above. And then darkness. He dropped the weapon. Staggered back. Lyra caught him. What did you see? I think this weapon remembers, he said. It's been rebuilt, repurposed, but it's seen this place before, or someone like me. The warbot still didn't move. John turned to it. Who sent you? No answer, but the symbols on its chest shifted slightly, like they were listening. Lyra stepped closer. It's not just a machine, it's a messenger. From who? Before she could answer, the tunnel shook. Loud. Violent. Rocks fell from above. The warbot turned and suddenly rushed past them, deeper into the tunnel fast. Without sound. John and Lyra looked at each other and ran after it. The shaking got worse. Behind them, the wall they had passed through cracked. Something big was breaking in. They followed the bot into a lower chamber. This one was round, like an old arena. The bot stopped in the center and turned its red eyes upward. John raised the launcher. It hummed gently in his hands now, like it had accepted him again. Lyra looked around. Symbols covered every inch of the walls. Like this was the core of the entire tunnel system. Energy ran through the cracks in the stone. The floor had patterns shaped like stars and waves. And in the middle of it all, a tall stone column with an orb on top. Glowing. Flickering. Lyra stepped toward it. And the orb lit up brighter. This is why we're here, she said. What is it? John asked. A signal, she replied. A memory bank. Something my people hid before the war. It stores visions, voices, warnings. The orb suddenly pulsed. A voice filled the chamber. You are not ready. John aimed his weapon, startled. Voice continued, "You seek victory, but you carry fear." Lyra stared at the orb. "We are not afraid." "Then prove it." The voice answered. The floor beneath them split, and a light opened below. A test chamber. John looked at Lyra. "This is a trap, or a challenge," she replied. "Same thing." But they both stepped in. The light swallowed them. In a blink, they stood in a different world. Not the tunnel. Not the forest. A memory world. Built from data. Desert on one side. Snow on the other. And in the center, a battlefield. Machines charging from one end, beasts from the other, and only two people in the middle. John. And Lyra were inside it. Lyra said. John gripped the weapon. "We fight, we survive." The wave hit. Machines leapt from the dust. Beasts roared from the ice. John fired. The plasma launcher sang with power, stronger than before. Lyra called the energy from her blood. Her hands glowed. Her skin shimmered. She moved like light. They fought side by side. And for every step forward, the storm behind them grew. But neither stopped, even when their legs burned, even when their arms ached. John took a hit. Fell. Lyra screamed, but instead of fear, her power burst. The memory world cracked. The enemies vanished. And the orb voice returned. "You are not alone," it said softly. The light faded. They were back in the real chamber. The bot was gone. The orb dimmed. But on the floor now, etched clearly, were new words, two lights, one future. John stood slowly. Lyra looked around. The tunnel behind them had collapsed. The only path now was forward. And just ahead, barely visible in the stone, was a door. Not alien. Not machine. Human. With a handprint scanner, and scratched above it was John's name. John stared at the handprint scanner on the metal door. It wasn't a dream. It was real. His name scratched above it was old, worn, but clear. No one else could have carved it. And yet, he didn't remember doing it. Lyra stood beside him, her breathing shallow. "How is this possible?" John slowly raised his hand, but stopped inches away from the scanner. "What if it changes everything?" he asked. "What if it answers everything?" Lyra replied. He looked at her. Her eyes, though tired, still held that silver glow. Not from power now. From belief. From trust. He placed his palm on the scanner. Soft beep. A flash of green light. The door hissed. And opened. What waited inside was not what either of them expected. It was warm. Quiet. Not a control room. Not a lab. It was a room. A human room. With a desk. A chair. A light that flickered softly on the ceiling. On the desk, a photo frame. John picked it up. His hands shook. It was a picture of him. As a child, with his mother, on Earth. In a place he hadn't seen in over 20 years. Lyra walked in slowly, her fingers brushing the shelves. They were filled with items from different worlds. A human helmet. An alien dagger. A star map showing regions both of them had never heard of. "This room," she said quietly, "was made for you." John nodded. He didn't know how or why, but it was true. On one wall, a screen came to life. A video started playing. An old message. A man appeared on the screen, gray hair, soldier's uniform, a voice filled with exhaustion. "John," the man said. John stepped forward, frozen. "If you're seeing this, then it means the fallback plan activated. It means you made it to Zareth, and it means the memory loop failed to erase." John's voice broke. "I know that face." Lyra stepped closer. "Who is he?" "My father," John whispered. The message continued. "I'm sorry we couldn't stop it. The AI project King got loose. It merged with the old warbots. It learned too fast, spread too far. Your mother, she tried to warn the council. They didn't listen." John's eyes filled with tears. The message kept going. "We created this bunker for you, in case everything failed. A safe point, a core with stored knowledge. You'll find weapons here, memories, pieces of what was lost. The screen flickered. Then changed. A new video started. A younger John talking to the camera. But he had no memory of it. If I come back, the younger John said, if I forget, if the loop resets me again, I need to remember this. Remember Lyra. Remember that trust is the key. She's not the enemy. She's the answer. John stepped back, his hands shaking. This has all happened before, he said. Lyra's face was pale. How many times? I don't know. The screen showed a symbol. Now. A loop. Memory cycle. It had reset John over and over. Erasing him, dropping him back into the war. Watching him meet Lyra. Watching him fight. Forget. Until now something had broken the loop. This weapon, he whispered, holding up the plasma launcher. It's been with me through every cycle. Lyra looked at the orb on the table, still glowing faintly. This time, you remembered. Because of you, John said. Suddenly alarms echoed. In the room. Red lights flashed. Lyra turned to the doorway. Something's coming. John checked the screen. An alert. External breach detected. Infiltration units deployed. Outside the chamber. The walls shook. The ground trembled. And then they heard it. Metal tearing through stone. Not just warbots, but something worse. A hunter-class unit. Giant. Self-learning. Something the AI had created after merging with other species tech. Lyra's voice was calm but sharp. We fight. John turned to her. We protect the memory core. He opened a hidden wall panel. Inside, a weapon neither of them had seen before. Part human, part alien. Designed by both. Maybe even built by future versions of themselves in another. Loop. John tossed Lyra pulse glove. She caught it. Slid it on. Her silver glow grew brighter. John aimed the upgraded plasma launcher. The door behind them started to dent. Loud. Closer. Every hit shook the bunker. And just as the wall burst open, just before the hunter bot stepped in, John whispered, this time we end the loop. The hunter bot stepped into the chamber like a nightmare pulled from every world's worst memory. Its body was massive, over 3 meters tall, built from stolen alien tech, twisted with human designs, and pulsing with red energy at its core. Each of its 6 legs slammed into the floor with a deafening thud. Its arms were long, blade-shaped, and its face had no eyes. Only a spinning ring of light that never blinked. Lyra and John stood side by side. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The memory room behind them had gone dark, sealing off the knowledge it held. It was now up to them. You ready? John asked. Lyra nodded once. No more loops. The hunter bot charged. Its feet cracked the ground. John raised his hybrid weapon and fired bright plasma bolts, slammed into its chest. But the bot didn't slow. Instead, it absorbed the energy, its core glowing hotter. It's learning. John shouted, then let's teach it something new. Lyra replied. She jumped left, hand glowing, then punched the ground. A wave of force knocked the bot off balance. John ran to the side, slid under one of its legs, and fired again, this time aiming for the joint. Metal sparked. The bot stumbled. But it didn't fall. It screamed a sound not made for ears. It echoed in their minds like sharp glass. John winced. Lyra dropped to her knees, holding her head, and that's when the bot moved fast, too fast, and slammed John across the chamber. He hit the wall hard. Pain shot through his chest. Lyra screamed. The bot turned to her. But she didn't. Run. She stood, eyes glowing brighter than ever before. Her voice steady. You've repeated this long enough. She lifted both arms. The walls around them lit up with the old symbols, alien and human. The chamber had been waiting for this. All along, her energy sensed with the room. The floor pulsed. The light inside her rose like a storm. The bot lunged, but this time, she didn't dodge. She moved through it. Her energy passed through its core. It froze. Trembled. And then exploded. Without fire. It collapsed into silence. Not broken. But undone. like the timeline that built it had been pulled apart. John gasped for air, crawling up from the floor. "What did you do?" he asked. Lyra walked to him, glowing softly now. "I didn't destroy it. I rewrote it. I showed it the truth." John looked at the wreckage. It wasn't scrap metal. It was blank, no memories, no code, just empty steel. "How?" "Because this time," she said, "you believed me." The room shook again, but not from an attack. The symbols on the wall began to shift. The floor beneath the wrecked bot opened. A stairway appeared, leading upward. "What is that?" John asked. "The exit," Lyra said. "From the tunnel?" "From the loop." They walked together. Each step felt heavy, like moving through time itself. At the top, a door waited. But this one was different. No scanners, no weapons, just a view. Glass wall that showed the world outside. They stepped forward and froze. The forest above was green. The sky blue. No fires, no machines, birds flying. Rivers flowing. Life. "We did it?" John whispered. Lyra nodded. "We ended the cycle." He looked at her. "But how is this possible?" A soft sound behind them. They turned. The orb from the chamber had floated up behind them, glowing warmly. A voice spoke, not loud, not mechanical. Just calm. "You remembered." And remembering was the key. John reached for Lyra's hand. She took it. And together, they stepped through the final door. The world outside was fresh. New. As if the past had been rewritten. No warbots. No AI hunters. No loop. Just life. And from above in the sky, a beacon blinked once, a message sent across the stars. They chose unity, and it saved them.